Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of our brand new show, She Knows, with your host, Brandon Burns. I'm excited for today's guest. She's joining me from lockdown Melbourne, which is quite similar to my circumstance, but she's up and about. She's got a great energy about her. Let me tell you a little bit about what she's currently up to. So she and her husband, Dean, are the co-founders of Studio 46 Personal Training, one of Australia's leading studios. She's also an accountant. Can you believe it? So I reckon she's pretty on top of doing her own books. She is a Les Mills master trainer, and she's worked alongside Michelle Bridges, who a lot of you will know and recognise. And she's also the proud mother of two boys, a 14 and a 10-year-old. So she's got her hands full. Kirsty Robbie, how are you?
Oh, great. It's the sun shining today, so that's a positive. But yeah, great to be here. It's a real honour, so thank you.
Pleasure. Now, I forgot to add in there, what's it like being the most famous sister of Margot Robbie?
Do you know what? I must say, and I haven't done my homework, but apparently amongst our family, there's a rumour that we are potentially related. So I'm going to do my homework, and my husband turns 50 next year, and I would, wouldn't that be a nice surprise for him if we were related?
Straight to Hollywood, hey?
Yeah.
Now, before we get into it, there's something you shared with me off air, which I reckon's really cool and topical, given the AFL finals are literally underway, and there's a little-known underperforming team called Melbourne that's got one hand on the cup. Tell me about your connection to the Melbourne Footy Club.
Well, my dad played in 1963 and 64. He was a kid from Casterton in Western Victoria and got drafted up to Melbourne. I think he was drafted to Collingwood or something, but he refused to play for them. So he ended up at Melbourne. And so he was part of the 64 team and got his little blazer, which still is in mint condition and still fits him, which is good, I reckon. So so that's sort of my connection. So we're hoping. No expectations though.
It's a bit of a way to go, but it's always better when you win that first final. One thing I love to do at the beginning of the show, really to humanise our guests and to break it down, is to talk through a day in the life. And obviously we get you to talk us through what it looks like kind of pre and post lockdown, what it looks like during. And one thing I just want to do quickly is, because people are going to Google and check you out furiously whilst they're listening, what's the current web URL where people can just have a look while we're talking?
Yeah, studio46.com.au. So studio and it's number 6.com.au.
Awesome. Yep. All right, well, talk us through what a typical day in the life looks like.
At the moment or normally?
Yeah, well, I mean, no doubt you're probably itching to remain active and keep your clients who are motivated and everything, but because we want to get an insight into maybe a couple of things you've implemented in lockdown that have really gotten you through as well.
Yeah, I think for us is trying to maintain a routine. Obviously not the same routine, but I think that's for everyone, is routine is key. So we have, a large portion of our clients still engaging with some PT, so online. So my typical day would be get up. I always start the day with a glass of hot water, and then I sort of get myself set up in my PT space and jump online, do a few clients, check in on the kids, make sure they are up for homeschooling and sorted. And I generally would do a bit of a walk. I've got a golden retriever, so I get my walk in before lunch. And then in the afternoon, I'll engage in some sort of resistance training of some sort, whether I'm lucky enough, I can still go into our studio. It's within my 5K. Or I do stuff in the backyard with my boys, keep them active as well, because it's good for their mental health. They're quite sporty kids, so losing all their sports quite tough, as with most kids. So we're keeping that up with them. So few emails, bit of admin, check the figures. They don't change much, but I just keep checking them just in case.
Tell me, with a 10-year-old and a 14-year-old, two boys growing, what's the grocery bill? What's happened to that?
I cannot tell you. I had no idea. And the sleep, all they do is sleep, eat, and play PlayStation. It's actually insane. Yeah, they've grown a lot actually. It's and speaking to clients and friends, the boys in particular have shot up, and I think that comes down to a lot of rest, which they wouldn't normally get with their crazy routine. So they're sleeping and eating well instead of what you put in a lunchbox. I've got bacon and eggs going on. I had steak on the barbecue the other day for lunch. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Good.
I love that. And what do you try and do to incorporate exercise sort of with them whilst at home?
Well, we're very lucky around our area. We've got a beautiful golf course that's obviously not being utilised at the moment. So often take them down there and we'll run, from green to green. So it's not too far for them. They get a bit of a rest, do some body weight training. The little one, he's very social. So he's out with a mate riding around the neighborhood. So it's finding stuff that they enjoy at the moment is really important. Do some, basketball shots and then run down the end of the street and back, and just fun stuff.
Now, I have to ask, with lockdown and being an entrepreneur and a person running a business that's traditionally relied upon that physical kind of tactile interaction, and knowing that we've kind of been in this scenario of lockdown a few times now, talk to me about people's appetite, their fatigue for the online and virtual delivery. Was it initially more popular than it is now, or have people gotten more used to it, or are people over it?
Yeah. We found it really comes down to personality type is what we found. So the same people continue to engage, and then the same people disengage. So group training, we have a small portion of that. So when I talk about my business, it's mainly the one-on-one sort of stuff. So those who are used to routine, do take their health quite seriously, are the ones that stick to it. And which is good, because I don't see us as, yes, we obviously specialize in movement, but I feel like we are more about changing behavior. So, those clients who really do want to change and are in the swing of things, and then obviously we are the motivator, that they'll tend to stick to it. Something's better than nothing. And it's more at the moment about mental health. So every client we see at the end will always say, oh my God, I feel so much better. Thank you. So that's sort of where we're at with that.
I love it. Excellent. Look, this next question I've got for you, I reckon you got a ripping response to this one and quite a unique scenario. Talk me through who some of those key role models were growing up, whether they be male or female, and your unique experience.
Yeah. Well, I think my dad played a massive role in that, being so sporty, and I was also quite talented at sport. Gymnastics was my main area of expertise. Obviously, that takes up a lot of time. But as I moved into, my working life, I had a lady at Les Mills who was the head of the training side of stuff there, Kylie Gates. She's massive over in New Zealand now. Anyway, I really connected with. She just said it how it was, straight to the point. She was unique in that way. So I learned a lot. I think communication is really key, and that's what she taught me. So yeah.
And talk me through the circumstance, sort of how you grew up and the dynamic in the house.
Yeah, so there's a lot of chatter at the moment around males and females being equal, and I'm all for that, especially in the workplace. I can't see the difference. If you got two people regardless of their gender that can do the job, then the best person should get the job, right? But I grew up I lost my mum unfortunately when I was only 14, so I was brought up with my dad and my brother. And some people can look at that as a disadvantage. I see it as an advantage, because when I started, my first job was in a transport company. So you can imagine the very male dominated space in finance there. And then I moved into forestry. So I was from Mount Gambier in South Australia. So that was kind of the two big industries. And what it allowed me to do is the persuading or the debating that happened at home when I was younger with my brothers and my dad, allowed me to communicate quite well with the men. And what I worked out early on is that men and women are very different in terms of communication. The message that you're trying to deliver needs to be different when you're talking to a male as opposed to a female. And I think that really has helped me, especially in the personal training world. When you're trying to change behavior and you're training a male client, the way you deliver things is very different to how you would a female. So connecting is key.
I mean, this is really cool, but can you give me maybe a live example or a bit of a reference point for where this has really served you, and an example of how someone else might be able to apply it?
Well, I think number one is being able to read the room and listen to what the other person's saying, and not, when I say listen, so sit with what they're saying and don't speak too soon. And when you do speak, depending on the person, especially males, there's no fluff, just straight to the point, in a soft, compassionate way, but strong at the same time. And females, you can do that too, depending on their personality type. I've done a lot of work in personality types. There's lots of different personality profiling stuff around, but I just remember many times, as I'd walk out to go to the freight office, when in transport, I had to almost like take a breath and go, okay, now I've walked from a office of females and now I'm heading out to the world of the men. How do I carry myself? What I say, the way that I address them, it's just be strong, be clear. G'day, fellas. It just morphing into different. In fact, my son laughs all the time. My older one says I've got multiple personalities. I take that as different hats, but he often goes, which personality is this one, Mum? So there's lots. Like even this morning, I had 2 clients, a male, female, back to back. Both of them didn't sleep for different reasons. And one I nurtured and the other one I just listened, so it just, I think that's how I apply it. It's I've done a lot of reading and a lot of interaction with different people, which helps. You live and learn.
Yep, agreed. So when you were younger, you mentioned gymnastics was your thing, very, heavily sport-oriented upbringing, high achiever, high performer. Who was some role models, some female role models when you were younger that you looked up to from afar who were maybe doing great stuff? Or it could even be someone a little bit more obscure that we might not mainstream know as much about.
Yeah. For me, it was the people closest to me. So I didn't really look up to like a sporting person. I don't really get inspired that way. It's more how people make me feel at the time and what I can learn. I always want to learn something. So I've multiple people that I just soak up information from, and so it's not just one person that influences me. Yep. There's a lot of people full of crap, I must say, but it's those who really hit in here. I'm very much about doing what you love, doing things for the right reason, and just depending on what they're saying will resonate with me, and I'll follow them or hook onto what they're saying.
Yeah, you've had the luck of traveling abroad, especially when you spent time with Les Mills across Asia and throughout that APAC region. Yep. And you've obviously been in this industry in particular for quite some time. Whether it be within this industry or even just in general, are there some gender-specific challenges you've either faced directly or maybe you've witnessed others facing that you've either been annoyed by or maybe you've gotten involved in trying to fix?
Again, I think for me, I haven't really felt that gender-specific thing. And I think that comes back to my upbringing, my ability to be able to connect in the male world. I do see people struggle in that. And I think my mission for my staff and, especially in the female, is to really be confident in what they know and stick in your lane, like be influenced by the right people, not by the situation, if that makes sense. And yeah, just be confident. It's fake it till you make it, I guess. I don't know.
Make it till you make it. I think we just got the bite from your episode. That's what we'll go with.
No, one of my new coaches that just come on, he just said, you just got to fake it till you make it. Like, I love it. Obviously, we don't do that. We know our stuff, but that was around social media because that's my biggest fear, actually. Social media scares me.
Yeah. Well, we will get to that, but I want to ask you while we're on the topic of these gender-specific challenges, can you also give me a perspective as a mum raising two teenage boys in, a different world now, 2021, it's quite progressive. There's a lot of, talk around, the whole landscape. How do you feel towards them and what are you trying to work on with them?
Compassion is the big one for them.
Expand.
Well, I think, it's really tricky. It's really tricky for them. There are, I, as a female, I'm really worried about that chivalry that is going to disappear, opening the door for someone. Those boys aren't exposed to anything like that. So, we'll, respect, compassion, be good listeners, very aware that it's their journey as well. So, we try and parent, we've got obviously guidelines and stuff like that for them, but it is their journey to explore and having that communication, again, that open, honest communication. There's no question that's off limits for us, no discussion. We try not to keep secrets from our kids. And I think that will help them navigate life. So we're not trying to shield them from too much because they need to hear this, obviously, the right stuff, but to be able to make an informed decision by having information and having that conversation around those gender issues. The schools do an incredible job, I find, at the moment. So there's not a lot. All we do as parents is then follow up on that curiosity and not to shut that down. I think respect, especially for the boys, is not to shut anyone down, male or female, and just be very aware of listening. I don't think people listen enough.
Good point. Now that you've gotten to where you are now, and it sounds like you're in a great space, what are some things that still really bug you as needing to change that you'd love to see change because you can see how much of a difference they'd make for someone else coming through and maybe even make it easier and quicker for someone coming through if you could just make those key changes to a few things that still really bug you? In our industry specifically, it's quite even at the sort of, I'm not going to say bottom end, but just across the industry in terms of male, female. What I find is females feel that they have to sit in a certain type of training, and then males sit over here in a certain type of training. And then I look at the high level elite sport, just AFL, for example, because that's a hot topic around Melbourne at the moment. All their head strength and conditioning guys are all males. I want to know, why is that? Is it because, will that change as more females come into that space? Like, we've got some awesome coaches that are female in that space. Or, is the AFL at the moment because they have all those years of experience and that's where the industry was back then? So I'm really interested to explore that further and to find out, why is at the top level of sport, a lot of those high-end jobs are males. Why are they not females? Is it just the time that's required to put in by those high-level strength and conditioning coaches that females, when they have families, they have to give that up? It's an interesting space for me, and that's something that's sort of on my radar, is to find out what's going on there and how can we change that. I have to admit, like, I can see how you could do that position really, really well because of your ability to communicate with men so well. If you were in one of those positions, What do you think is one key thing maybe you do different to have an edge over the 17 others?
I don't know. It was hard to answer that because I don't know what they do or say. But I would just stick to what I've always done, and that's just let my skills talk, and just answer everything honestly and straight to the point. And I think at that level, everyone is so different. There's no wrong or right way to train someone, and every body, as in body, people's body is very different. And I think it's, hardworking, intuitive female might be the edge that clubs might need. I don't know.
I love it.
Hard to know.
Now, there's going to be multiple answers to this question, and I'm keen to hear all of them. Some will be related to your day. Some may be related to your diet. Some may be related to mindfulness practices. But I'd love to understand what are some of the key secrets to success. And it could be with regards to an optimal day. It could be with regards to an optimal year or decade. But what are some of those key things that are really hallmarks of what makes you so successful?
Routine.
Mm-hmm.
Organization. Now, I would say that I'm certainly not OCD. I'm not organized in that way, but organized in that I have a clear plan. Now, that plan can change dramatically. It's not about how you get there, because that's all over the place. It's not just one direction, but understanding your why. So, and that's what drives me on a daily basis. So whether that's to do with the children, whether that's to do with the business, my team, my husband, what's my objective? And then you fill in the gaps around that. And it's the same as my nutrition. Where am I at the moment? What's the objective? What's the outcome? Okay, I've got 8 weeks. I want to, increase my fitness in X, Y, Z. There's the objective. Now do the planning to get there. The same as if you planning your weekly meals so you don't eat crap. Same thing. What's my objective for the week? What am I focusing on? Okay, let's do this. So that sort of sounds very regimented, but it's actually not. You're pivoting all the time based on what's going on around you, but the objective stays the same.
Okay, so what does a cheat day, cheat meal look like?
Whatever I want it to be, because there's no right or wrong food. It's just the wrong quantity or the wrong dosage, same as exercise. So if I feel like, some chocolate, then I'll have some chocolate, but I'll be very aware of the impact that can have to my end objective.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like children, when you tell them they can't have that lolly or something, and then all they do is they want to do that or they want to have that. We're no different. So if you allow yourself to go, you know what, I can have that chocolate, but there's a consequence to doing that. Am I okay with that consequence? Great. Yep, I'm going to have the chocolate. Therefore, it's guilt-free and you enjoy it, or you say, no, I'm going to pass on that.
So you mentioned earlier, with regards to what we're all going through at the moment, the mental health side and effects, and also how a lot of your clients, it appears that you're really adding value from that aspect as well. You've got those teenage kids at home, and no doubt, you're aware of what's going on with schools and everything. What's something from your perspective that's easy to implement and doesn't feel too overwhelming to do as an individual that could help balance up or assist with our mental health during these times?
I think there's a lot of talk about self-care. I like to use the word self-compassion. So being not too hard on yourself, and acknowledging those feelings that you feel. If you are feeling sad, then acknowledge that. Or if you are feeling blue, you acknowledge those feelings because they are real and you don't have to feel bad for that. But then what is your choice? Because you can't choose your feelings. They are what they are. But you can choose how long you sit and what you do with those feelings. So I tend to say to my clients, if they do sort of come into a session and they're really flat, I said, yeah, I get it. I feel the same. I had a day like that yesterday. But right now we're focused on you, and and you've turned up. So it's turning up. If you decide that you want to go for a walk, then just put your shoes on, walk out the gate. And I would say, you know what, 5 minutes into it, if you really still can't be asked, then walk back home. At least you're fielding 10 minutes of a lockdown day. But 9 times out of 10, you keep walking, right? Or you keep running, or whatever it is you're doing. So it's just getting started, and choose how long you sit with those feelings.
Is there time in the day for Netflix? If so, what are you binging right now?
Oh my God, I've just started. Seriously, I never watch TV normally. So when life's normal, it's crazy, running kids around into business, all that sort of stuff. But I'm into a million little things. And it is beautiful. I'm only a few episodes in, but the storyline is really uplifting for now. It's about a friendship group, and stuff goes down, and just I think it's awesome. So I really highly recommend it.
I love that. Excellent. Is it a Netflix one or a Stan one or a Disney?
It's Stan, I think. It's a Stan one. Yeah.
Tell me, we spoke earlier about you sort of alluding to one of your biggest fears. Give me a couple if you can, and talk me through sort of why they are.
Reopening, getting back in the studio. Is that actually ever going to happen? No, I think for me, it's the crazy social media world, the digital space. I mean, we pivoted really quickly with work, with the business, because I always had an online plan. I investigated it, and just decided it's something wasn't for me. I liked the face-to-face approach, and I always think there is always going to be a need for that. So I was able to really pivot quickly and press play on the online business model, which worked well. But there's also that, the people I employ are really humble. So there's really no ego, which is probably our greatest strength, but also our greatest weakness when it comes to social media, like Instagram and stuff. None of my team, including myself, really like jumping on and putting ourselves into that space, because we're very much about movement, and circumstance are very much individualized. And when you look on Instagram, you don't know the context behind what's going on, or what that exercise is, or what it's for. And so it's really tricky. And I feel our space in particular is dominated by body beautiful, what you eat. It's almost like you're trying to help, but you make people feel really bad about themselves. Does that make sense? So, oh my God, she looks like that because she eats like that, but does she really? Like, for our industry, I'm not so sure it's that positive.
Yeah.
So it's a fear for me. What's that doing to people? I'd love to know, what's that doing to people, and is it actually helping them, or is it making them feel worse?
Yeah, it's an interesting topic, because yourself and myself included, we have the reference structure from probably early 2000s of a world pre-social media, pre-YouTube, pre-online, really. And there's no doubt that people's access to information has gotten better. But I'll be honest and say, just on a personal note, I do fantasize at times about a complete removal just of social media in society. It's been great to be able to connect people. I guess the question for you is, how do you deliver an online experience without having to really have a huge online presence like you talked about? Like, what have you been able to fall back on or rely on in the experience that you delivered having to move it online, that makes you think these clients have gone, you know what, we don't really care if you're not huge on Instagram, as an example. That's not what we're here for. Well, but for another trainer listening who's maybe starting, and they've seen the Kayla Ritzines sweat story, and she sold a workout app for 400 mil, and how have you done it then without social media? I'm very interested to know.
Well, I think it comes down to what I was talking about before, is knowing your why, being good communicators at your message, looking after people. It really is that personal touch. And then the success follows on from there, because your greatest advocates, being your clients, the other ones are going to tell the story. They're going to be your raving fans. I think social media plays a part. If someone's checking you out, they've already heard about you perhaps from someone, and they go and check you out to see what you're doing. But look, the Kaylee Itsteins of the world, they have their role. And I guess it's hard for me because my studio average age is around that 42 mark, sort of early to mid 40s, who aren't really big on the Instagram and Facebook either. So, but that younger demographic absolutely are. So that's where I think, if you are a trainer starting out, you have to know your why, who's your market. And that's what it comes down to, is who's your market and how you're going to best reach them. Because I know for us, the market we're after are really not on social media. Well, that's not where they get their proof from.
Now, I know you train our co-founder, Terry, and he prides himself on being pretty fit.
He's awesome.
What most surprised you about his strength and conditioning? Is it his kettlebell swings, or is it his dead squat lifts? What is he beast mode in the gym?
Oh my God. So I just throw anything and everything at him. We're very much about, I know it's thrown around, function movement, but movements that carry over to life. So, what's going to help you, when you're 75 and you're trying to get out of a swimming pool, can you actually get out of that swimming pool type scenario? That helps put it into perspective. But there's nothing I give Terry that he doesn't attempt and can't do. Like, he's just strong from top to bottom. He like I said, I've been training him for 20 years. He turns up regardless, grumpy, happy, which we're not sure which Terry we're going to get, but I love it. I always manage to make him feel better by the end of it. But we have so many clients like that. Like, there's our oldest client is 89.
Wow.
And she's incredible. It's nuts. I freak out. I think, oh my God, she's going to fall off and hurt herself, but she just loves it. So it's great. So he's certainly very fit. When you think about his age and how he moves and what he can do, it's pretty incredible. And that just shows consistent training. I took him on, he'd never done any training, and he was 40 and he's now 60 soon. So it's pretty amazing. Yeah.
He looks 40.
Like, it's amazing, isn't it?
It's all you. Now, I have to ask, what is that secret talent or a secret talents that you have that maybe only those really closest to you know that you possess? And the weirder, the better.
It's the ability to wear multiple hats. So a typical day would be, work with clients, then you flip home, get the kids ready for school, then you flip back to the studio and you work with clients, then you put your accounting hat on, you're in the office, you're doing sales, you're doing your accounting, and then you flip your hat back on, do your own workout, then you go and get the kids. So it's this, then you got to be a wife in there somewhere. So it's the ability to maintain the same energy, but slip into, like my son says, different personalities. And I find that really handy at school functions, or when you're at those social functions, because you don't really know people. So just sliding into these different conversations and changing not who you are, but just how you're communicating with whoever you're talking to. I think that's probably a special talent. Yeah.
And for our audience listening, like, we've obviously got an insight today into your family. Can you just run us through what that support structure that you have put in place for yourself looks like, and who are those key players?
We have no family here in Melbourne. So we got no help. So we crazily started Studio 46 when my 14-year-old was just over 12 months old. Started from scratch with him sleeping under my desk, on my desk, you name it. He slept even in a cabinet at one point. But the support structure, we just did it. We just hard workers. So, and I just rely on doing it. I don't know how we do it. I don't know how we do it.
Working with your, how do you go having your life partner as your business partner?
Great. He's incredible. He, again, knows when to speak and when not to speak and when to let me go crazy and vice versa. I think, again, we have distinct roles in what we do. So, and not deliberately, it's just how it worked out. You know, we were really great best friends before we got romantically involved, which I think helps. But yeah, like I said, we have distinct roles, and yeah, we just, I don't know, it just works. Everyone asks that question. And you know what? And I hate being away from him. I love being in the same space, but I don't have to talk to him all the time. I just need to be, I just need to be around somewhere. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But we've got a great team of people around us in terms of employees as well. So who do you hire on your team? They're like family. They are our family, our Melbourne family. So I think that's probably where the support comes from.
It's brilliant. So for us as an audience and listening in, how can we do more than just check you out? How can we collaborate? How can we get involved? How can we participate in something with you? Yeah, tell us all about it.
How do you get involved with us? I don't know, give me a call. I'm the old school, pick up the phone. No. Yeah, like we've got a studio in Caulfield when it opens. So, you know, there's lots of ways that you can connect with us, whether it's just a coaching session online, whether it's a nutrition session. We've got different specialists in different roles. At the moment, it's just all online. So, and then obviously our social media, which is, yeah, social media. I wouldn't say it's amazing, but it's there.
Yeah. Well, for everyone listening and watching, like, because we've run out of your time now, we do want to hold you to a part 2. And the intention always was with She Knows that we'd be filming in studio. We've got a setup in Melbourne, and we really want to bring Ask the Expert style session to our viewers on YouTube. So I think it's going to be great when we can get Kirsty in the studio and we can really dive deeper into specific topics that I know you're an expert on. And then also when we have our round table with 6 to 8 diverse women, all facilitating a healthy debate. So thanks for your support for our little show. We're about 6 episodes in, but awesome. This has been one of the best. And good on you for being so upbeat and positive and during these times. And we'd love to get behind you and your business and help whichever way we can.
Oh, and thank you for taking an interest in females. And, you know, for us, there is so much in these heads of ours. And I love the idea of it's a forum or ask questions, ask the expert, because people, you want to help in any way you can. So thank you for your support and to everyone that you're going to touch. It's great.
Kirsty Robbie, thank you.